What's up, guys? AverageKiwiGuy here. How y'all doing? So I'm here in Moldana, Crystal Tower in the back. My girl on this side, Talia. This is my character. We're gonna talk about the details of the changes in Final Fantasy XIV with Shadowbringers, the changes to the classes and stuff. I'm gonna go through each one. Not all in this video. This video is specifically for Bard, but I'm gonna try and do every one and look at them all, even the ones that I don't really play, and we're gonna see what's what's new, you know, how things are happening, you know, what changes there are in Shadowbringers and what we can look forward to. I know for me personally, my Bard here, I was a little worried after the live letter. When I heard that it had a reason, like a sort of a partial rework, you know, a class that I was really happy with, I had no issues with, and it kind of worried me. I'm like, man, don't mess with my Bard. But kind of going over these changes, apart from taking away sort of party contribution now, you know, the sort of like, you know, Bards were always like the crit buffs, you know, we gave them the crit buffs, like that was the whole thing. Apart from taking that away, we're pretty much the same. We just have more stuff, and it's actually kind of been streamlined a little bit. So I'm not gonna break it all down. I'm not gonna go into the little bits like, oh, this got the, you know, more, you know, buffed and all the rest of it. If it's important, I'll talk about it. But this is gonna be sort of a general overview on how Bard is kind of looking moving into Shadowbringers. So the big thing with Bard and Shadowbringers now is that we are not tied to crit anymore. We're not tied to crit. Dots do not have to crit to proc things. And they've taken some of the RNG out of Bard now. So we don't have to like sort of pray to RNGs that we're gonna get the procs that we need every time we do an opener. The things that we need will be there when we need them to be there. Obviously depending on cooldowns. So the big things coming, like, that came out of this, like going over this info that's come out from the guys that went to the media sort of days and stuff. Big thank you to them for all their information gathering, like for all their interviews and stuff. It's very, very cool to see. So they got their embargo lift yesterday, and also last night, and you know, of course all the details have come out. So for me, when I was looking through all the Bard stuff, the big things coming out is sort of like how the songs work now. So the most identifiable thing, apart from using a bow for Bard, is the songs we use. So those songs used to give a crit buff to the party. This used to give, you know, just a certain amount of percentage buff to crit. It was nice to have as a party. It was nice to have. That's no longer a thing anymore. We don't give that crit buff anymore. We're not the support class anymore. That's just not us. We have been sorely outdone, really. Dancers can do far more than what Bards could ever do. So unless we got completely reworked and got more buffs and stuff and our songs did more, that was never going to be a thing. So sort of the way the guys, you know, the devs are handling it, you know, the whole like class synergy thing and how they really wanted to promote Dancer, you know, being the buff class, Bard had to make a change. And looking at the songs, you look down them, the songs still do the same things. The songs still do the same things. So Mages still resets Bloodletter and still resets Reign of Death. Wanderer's Minute still, you know, has the repertoire that stacks up to 3, and then you can use Pitch Perfect. Army still has a repertoire that stacks up to 4 and has the cast and recast time increases, you know, decreases. The big thing is now is that the way those repertoire proc, the way those repertoire, you know, appear, they are based on a percentage chance now. They're not based on crit. They're not based on a crit from a dot. You know, this is all based on every time a dot hits, you have a 40% chance to get the repertoire. So it's a more sure thing in a way. It's not like 100% time that happens. Like, so you'll fly up, but it's 40% of the time you will get that proc. You will get that thing. It's a little more of a sure thing. Like, yes, it's only 40%, but trying to get a crit out of a proc, if you don't have, enough crit there to do that, it can take a while to get those procs to pop up. So I think they wanted to simplify that down a little bit, make it an actual value, and we know, yes, this is how much it's going to cost. This is how much, this is what it's, this is how much it's going to take to get your proc. So I like that a lot. And it means that we're not beholden to crit so much now. We're not beholden to that, so, melds and stuff could diversify a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on melds. I just follow guides. I ain't that guy. But, we're not so beholden to it anymore. So that's a nice thing. It's a nice thing. The one song that did get a big change, well, not a big change, but an addition, was Army's Paeon. So Army's has always been the weaker of the three songs. We always cut it down, whenever whatever song comes off cooldown that's up next comes off cooldown, we always we started early. We always cut Army's short. They kind of realized that we did that. So they gave us a new trait called Enhanced Army's Paeon that we get at level 78. So this is going to be a Shadowbringers in sort of like late game bard thing. So if we start a new song while armies are still running, we gain a sort of a buff called Army's Muse. And Army's Muse essentially carries over the benefits of having armies going. So the buff to recast and cast times. So, and it all goes off how many repertoire you had in armies before you started the new song. So if you had 1 repertoire, you get 1%, 2, 2, 3, 4%, and then 4 gets 12%. So, and that is for 10 seconds. You get that 10 seconds after the song finishes. So that carries over while still getting the benefits of the next song. So I like that a lot. And I think, that can really, the benefit of having armies and being a bit faster and stuff like that it's quite nice. I like that a lot. There is another part to it though. If the song runs out and no song is sung before the end of armies, you'll be given a sort of a status or a buff called Army's Ethos. And Army's Ethos will stay with you for 30 seconds or until a new song is started. And when that song is started, that's when you will get Army's Muse, and based off the repertoire and stuff like that you had. That's how they're looking at it. That's how they're sort of making armies a little more interesting, a little more like useful in a way. Sort of giving us that sort of boost in cast time and recast time, so for a longer period of time. The Army's Ethos thing, I'm like, I guess in an emergency, like if the song ran out, say like the boss did something and we had to move and like we forgot to put the song on, it's quite nice to have that safety thing there of like, okay, especially now since we don't have to worry about buffing everyone else, songs, keeping songs up is still very, very important, and we'll get to that, later on, with the new gauge and stuff. But it's less stress on you in a way, and that's what they said. They wanted to take some stress points away. Now, I'm not always a big believer in that. I'm always like, some classes should be hard. Some classes need practice. Some classes should have, a little bit of, you gotta it takes a little bit to get, good at it, essentially. So Army's Ethos, I would have been happy with just the Muse. I would have been happy with just the Muse, but they wanted to add in this little safety net there as well. So that's something there. So yeah, songs, we still got the same songs. We still got all the same things. It's kind of, there's not anything been taken away from us in that sense. The only thing that's really been taken away from us is our sort of identity of being a buff class, of being in a way like a very minimal support class. So that's in a way being taken away from us. So I mean, I don't think it's like, at the end of the day, we're still going to be doing the same things that we were doing. We're just not affecting anyone else anymore. So that's okay. That's okay. Troubadour had another big change. So Troubadour was always linked to songs, and depending on what song you played, you got a different effect when you used Troubadour. So it was linked to the max HP you would buff, and everyone would get more HP. That had to be healed, by the way, if you were down. So that was a thing. Magic resistance and physical resistance, if I remember correctly. It made Troubadour very situational, and you had to have the right song up at the right time, and also you had to know, is this a physical attack? Is this a magical attack? And sometimes those can be a little bit tricky to sort of figure out, and a little bit like, is this magic, is this not? And then you got to think on the fly, and is the right song up and stuff. Like, it made it a little bit situational. So they basically stripped it down. They've stripped it down now, and they've made it just a pure reduced damaged buff of 10%. So you'll have 10% reduced damage for 15 seconds for yourself and for the party. So this is a solo thing too. So like, say you're facing in the duty, or you may be doing a fate or something with the new fate system and stuff, or whatever. You're getting hammered quite a bit. You've at least got a defensive buff that you can put on now that can help you out. So that's not bad. That's not bad. They're doing a similar thing with Machinist and also with Dancer as well. It seems to we all have an ability that does the same thing, and those abilities cannot be used at the same time. So if you have a Machinist or a Dancer in the group, you have to be careful not to use this at the same time as them. There's no stacking. There's no like having a whole bunch of bards and a whole bunch of dancers and a whole bunch of machinists and having outrageous percentages of damage resistance. So that would be a bit OP. So that's the thing. So that's another big sort of rework of Bard. Then the other really big one, Straight Shot. So Straight Shot used to be basically a crit buff that we would keep up. I think it lasted about 30 seconds or so. It was just, that was basically the first ability that you learned when you became an archer. It just got put into you. Straight Shot goes out first, then everything else comes out afterwards. There is no more crit buff on Straight Shot anymore. Straight Shot now is essentially what Reflugen Arrow is for level 70s. So for all you lower level bards who haven't got Reflugen Arrow yet, Reflugen Arrow can only be used when you are Straight Shot ready. So that's the little sort of status thing you get when you use Heavy Shot, if I remember correctly. And you have a percentage chance for that popping up and stuff. And it was, in a way, very RNG in places. You never quite knew when it was going to happen. So now, straight shot will become that. So when you are Straight Shot ready, that is when you can use Straight Shot, not any other times. So that you get Straight Shot ready, you can use Straight Shot. And Straight Shot, they gave it a higher damage. So essentially it will be like a mini Reflugen Arrow. And then when you hit 70, Straight Arrow will upgrade to Reflugen Arrow. So you will no longer have Straight Shot after 70. So that's the thing. So they are essentially teaching you and preparing you for when you have a Reflugen Arrow and how important it is to use it when that comes up. So I like that. I like that a lot. I think, now that, Straight Shot was not giving a crit buff, they had to rework that in a way. And they did a good job at that. They made it basically a mini Reflugen Arrow. And then for us, 70 beyonds, the whole, you know, straight shot thing is no longer an issue, well, thing we have to worry about. We don't have to worry about that buff. We're just purely into the rotation. We don't have to worry about keeping that buff up in any sense. So it's just songs, dots, and no more straight shot. So there's 2 things to worry about, not 3. So, and that was a thing that they said. They wanted to make it less stressful. So just don't make it too easy. That's the thing. Like, don't make it too easy. So they also, throughout the actual loadout of Bard, they've added a lot of 35% chance to make straight shot. Become straight shot ready. So you will get a trait at 76 that every time you use Caustic Bite or Storm Bite, you'll have a 35% chance to become straight shot ready. So that's sort of like for your opening sort of rotation. Definitely. I don't think that's based off the dots themselves. That's based off using Caustic Bite and using Storm Bite. So yeah, that's not based off how many, like, the ticks and stuff. It's all based off that using that. And then they've also added a very nice thing to Barrage, where you use Barrage, you become straight shot ready. So in a way, that's a very nice thing, because we were always waiting on, you know, straight shot ready when we had Barrage anyway. So now it's not even a thing we have to worry about anymore. You know, we just use Barrage, Reflugen arrows there, boom. Or use Barrage, straight shots there, boom. The only thing I don't know is is straight shot better than Ephemeral Arrow. We'll have to figure out how that all plays out. Because when you were sub 70, you always used Barrage with Ephemeral Arrow. That is it. Ephemeral Arrow has not changed. It's still the exact same. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like which one is better. Because straight shot has been buffed and the damage does look comparable. So yeah, that will be something we have to look at. Something that has sort of gone over all of the classes by the looks of it is buffs to AoE. So they buffed Quick Knock. Quick Knock has gone up in damage. And they've also added a trait, which you'll learn at 74, that has a 30% chance to reset Bloodletter or Rain of Death. So that, you know, we always kind of depended on mages as sort of that AoE sort of song. So you could use Quick Knot and then get the reset when the dots procced. Now you may get that proc, you may get that reset just by using Quick Knock. So Rain of Death will be usable far more now. And Rain of Death got buffed too. So that's a really nice thing. That is, I think, with TP gone now, I think AoE is going to be a far easier thing. And I think they wanted to sort of assist in that and make it feel a little bit nicer and feel like we're not spamming this one ability. You know, especially, you know, you just boom, 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 and you just like constant arrows flashing out. Like, it gets a little boring. So they have done a little bit there to sort of, you know, the fun part of having mages up when you're AoEing and you get those procs all the time is just the constant rain of deaths and stuff like that. It's really fun. So I think they wanted to give you a little bit of a taste of that. But it's about a 10% less chance than if you did have mages up. So mages and this trait, you could be getting it a lot. You could be getting it a lot when you're AoEing. So that should be quite fun. And then speaking of AoE, Shadowbite. So Shadowbite is a new ability. When I saw this initially, I thought this was AoE dots. I thought, we're gonna be able to spread it all around. Like, it will be there'll be a dot that we don't have to worry about, you know, picking each, you know, freaking mob and putting the dots on and stuff like that. No, we're still doing that. So Shadowbite is essentially an AoE version of Sidewinder. So for those who don't know Sidewinder has a set potency, has a set damage, but that damage goes up if it has the dot. If you're affected by the dots of Caustic Bite and Stormbite. If you have one, it goes up by a certain amount. If you have both, it goes up by a lot. So you always want to use it when you have both dots on the target. Shadowbite does the same thing. So it has 100 potency to all enemies. That's a base thing. Then if you have one dot on, it goes up to 180. If you have two, that goes up to 260. So yeah, so we're still gonna have to put dots on everything. Then this will just be put into the AoE rotation after that. So I was hoping for a dot spreader or something like that. That would be nice, but it looked like it too. It looked like it. It looked like poison, but no, it's shadow. It's a shadow thing. So I mean, I guess we're Warriors of Darkness now in a way. So we need a bit of a shadow thing. We learned that at 72. So that's going to be the first ability you learn going through the leveling stages. So that's something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. And I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of trash pulls in dungeons and stuff. Just by how they're buffing AoEs and things. Like, I think we're going to get a few more, like, large pulls. So that's going to be fun. Especially with no TP now. I wonder how that's going to get all balanced out. Or else we can just use it to our heart's content, and that's going to be it. So, because all TP stuff's been removed, and this doesn't use MP. So, going through the new stuff now. Burst Shot. Burst Shot is a brand new shot. This is on the global cooldown. This is that blue shot that we saw in the video. It looked very cool. It has 230 damage, 230 potency, quite nice. Has a 35% chance to become straight shot ready. I don't know if this is gonna replace heavy shot in a way in the rotation. I'm not sure how that is gonna play out. Like, maybe, because it's on global cooldown. It's not an off cooldown sort of like heavy hitter. It's all there, at least from what I could tell. I mean, I'm sure someone far smarter out there will be able to figure it out. But maybe it's just an additional thing now. So like, there's two things that can proc straight shot ready. So we're not just constantly spamming heavy shot all the time. I don't mind too much, especially now that we don't have straight shot to worry about all the time. It looks cool. Then we get to the big level 80 stuff. This is end of leveling. This is where you get the juicy, like, big ability and things like that. That's where robots and freaking Hadokens and now big arrow shots for Bard. We get Apex Arrow. Apex Arrow and a new gauge. So we'll start with the gauge. So the gauge is the Soul Voice gauge. And that gauge increases by 5 for every repertoire that you earn as your songs play. So every repertoire you get, boom, that's 5. So that's quite nice. So that's a really nice thing. And I imagine like the procs that come off mages, that will count. That's a repertoire, so that counts. So then Apex Arrow is directly linked to that. So that does that's 450 potency straight up, boom. And that does set all enemies in a straight line. So this is a piercer. This thing goes right through packs, and it hits everyone in that pack. Obviously within a straight line. Which I like a lot. I think like lining up big packs, that's gonna be real nice. That's gonna be real nice. So to use it costs 20 soul on the Soul Voice gauge. So it costs 20. So full repertoire basically. But the potency increases if you have more in the gauge. So everything you have above 20 gets added to that shot, and the potency goes up. So this is definitely something you want to like let the gauge build and then hit it hard. If you have to use it, you have to use it. You know, say something's come up, you have to use it. You have to. But you definitely, I think you want to let it grow. You want to let it sort of build up, let the repertoire sort of come in, build up, and then when it's good to go, unleash that bad boy. And it looked cool, man. It looked very, very cool. You know, sort of a big piercing arrow sort of thing it's gonna add some interesting thing, and it's gonna be really useful in like even just normal like trash pulls and stuff. You know, especially like as you know a few trash pulls come along, that gauge goes up after using songs and stuff. That's gonna be a nice like boom straight into a pack of stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that a lot. But yeah. So that is essentially, so there's a lot of other small little things. Stuff got buffs, like battle voice, Reflugen arrow got buffed, recast timers got changed, like nature's mind got put up to 90 seconds. They moved Warden's Paeon down from the level you learn it from 58 to 35. They also have buffed Venomous Bite and Wind Bite. So that's the beginner dots. They actually put the duration up from 18 seconds to 30. So that is very nice. So everyone who's like leveling a bard at the moment and you're finding those dots are a pain in the ass to keep up, you're getting a buff to that. You're getting a duration buff that we get at the moment. We get at 62, I want to say, when you upgrade Caustic Bite to Caustic Bite and Storm Bite. Now you'll have that duration all the way through. So that's really nice for leveling roulettes and stuff as well. You know, when we're doing lower level content, there's nothing worse than doing sub 60 freaking content and you know you realize that your dots are only 18 seconds. And if you're also at content where you don't have Iron Jaws, it's like, oh, this is awful. So yeah, I've tweaked that as well. So a lot of little changes there and stuff, but that was the big stuff. That was the big main things, the juicy parts of the new sort of Shadowbringers Bard, essentially. I was very worried going, like, before I saw all this stuff. Now, I'm less worried. I do think, like, a little bit of our identity got taken away thanks to Dancer. You know, we just can't do what Dancer does. We can't provide that much buffs. We just can't. So we did lose that part of our class. However, I think, you know, now we're essentially like we're focusing more on ourselves. We're sort of dedicating ourselves more to DPS. We're kind of like falling in a little more with ranged DPS, with machinist and stuff. And I'm not concerned about losing that buff and stuff. We still get to play the same way. We still have the same songs. The way songs are started are all the same. Like, all of it, the play style will still be the same. We just won't have that sort of, you know, thought in the back of our minds that we have to keep the buff up for everyone else in the party. We will still have Requiem. We will still have certain, like, abilities that will help the party. But it's just, like, we're not going to have that constant support that we used to give. That's just not going to be a thing anymore. But the overall changes, I'm actually very happy with. I'm very happy with. It's sort of cleaned up a little bit. It's cleaned it up. Has it made it too simple? I don't think so. I don't think it's made it too simple. Like I said, with their army's ethos, I think we could have done without that. Like, you should get a little bit of punishment if you're dropping songs. I mean, it's only on armies. So if you're lucky enough to drop the song on armies, you're fine. Well, not fine, but like you will still gain that buff that armies gives after its completion. But yeah, it's I like it. We're not tied to crit anymore. We're not praying RNG that we're gonna get freaking you know, things to proc and to work, to get our openers to work properly. We're good. I think it's a fine thing. We're good. Bard mains, we're okay. At least in my opinion. At least in my very humble opinion. We're fine. But yeah. Alright guys, that's going to be it for us. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. I'm going to be following all this Final Fantasy XIV stuff. We're going to be going through pretty much all of the classes and stuff. Looking at all the changes. Even classes that I don't really play. I'll sort of just, my, general opinions. How I think, how I've, always, interacted with those classes as, as a DPS and, whatever I'd been in when I was interacting with them. What I'd heard from FC mates and stuff. That sort of thing. Just that, those videos will be a lot shorter because I don't have as much to say on it. And then also all the other changes as well, the fate system, the role actions, the role quests, all that stuff. We'll do a big video on that as well. But yeah, it is definitely, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time. These are the weeks leading into the expansion. This is when all the juicy stuff comes out. We got E3 coming up as well, and we're gonna get some more stuff there. Not to mention all the excitement that comes around with E3. We'll be following E3 as well, if those of you are wondering. And yeah. So, big thank you to all the subs. Thank you. We're on a bit of a sub roll at the moment, so welcome to all you new guys. I appreciate it for sort of taking a chance on me and, sort of hanging out and, supporting me. Thank you very much. All the kind comments and stuff you guys have been very, very cool. Puts a smile on my face. Some of your comments and stuff. It's very cool. Yeah. So thank you for hanging out with me. And I'll catch you next time. Peace. Bye.